Ocho, you remember a couple of days ago, I think it was like Saturday or Sunday, I said, I just sat down, I have an interview.
Yeah.
And I said, it's going to be the interview of 24.
Oh, yeah.
I said, he's going to break the internet. And people are like, well, who is it? They're trying to, who is it going to be? Is it going to be LeBron? Is it going to be President Obama?
Right.
I said, but this guy and what he said, I said, it's gonna surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the interview that I'm talking about, is everybody's talking about it, is the Katt Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I've been trying to line this interview up since about the end of 2022.
Yes, sir.
And he's like, I don't know when I'm going to be on your side of town.
Yeah.
But I'll keep that in mind.
Wait, now, so you had this brewing? You had this brewing since 2022?
I've been trying to set it up. So basically all the 20, I ended up getting this interview at the very tail end of 23. So I'm sitting on that like, man, and I'm telling CJ and I was talking, he's like, what do you think? He's like, it's gonna happen. I was like, I don't know. I said, all I can do is reach out, I can ask.
Right.
And he hit me back. Let's do it. And I remember telling, I said, CJ, Katt Williams people hit me up and say they want to do it. He's like, for real? I was like, yeah, for real. I said, whatever we got, so whatever we have planned, I don't like them. I said, let's just clear it out. Because I don't know what day. It might be a Tuesday, it might be a Wednesday, it might be a Thursday, it might be a Friday. But clear it out. Because whenever the guest is available, let's do it. I did Chris Brown's interview at about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night at his place. So there's not a time that in which if I'm not working at First Take, that I'm not available. Right. So if you want to do it at midnight, we'll have a team there to shoot that footage at midnight.
That's live.
So he comes in. So I get there. I try to get there a little bit before the guest. CJ we might have some last minute. Okay, CJ. Okay, I kind of got a feeling of kind of how I want to go. I've moved some things around from the questions that you came up with and I came up with, but I've moved some of the stuff around because I think it just feels better. When I was going over this last night, it just felt better to go in this sequence. He's like, okay, hey, I trust you. You trust me. Just go with your feel. Yeah. So I get there. I'm getting mic'd up and I'm just talking. And he comes in. So he's already on one. He says, I've been waiting a whole year.
Right.
To say my piece.
The right space and platform to say his piece.
Yes. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, Shannon left so much on the table. Shannon is not a journalist. I never said I was a journalist.
Right.
If you listen in my intro, I said, normally what I say, the person that's coming by for conversation and a drink, I'm a conversationalist, not an interviewer. It's a different space. He said, you've allowed other people a very safe place. That's why we like coming.
Keyword, safe.
Safe place.
Safe place.
I've also said on numerous occasions, if you want 60 minutes, if you want Dateline, if you want 48 hours, I'm not the place for you. Go to those places and get those type of interviews. Go to Lester Holt. Go to Nora O'Donnell. Go to, I'm not Mike Wallace, rest his soul. I'm not Ed Bradley, rest his soul. Or Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite, rest their soul. Tom Brokaw. That's not who I am. Right. So if you want those type of interviews, you need to go to places that have those type of interviews.
Right.
Now, the problem is Katt Williams was my 102nd interview conversation on Club Shay Shay. He was the 102nd. Nobody said anything. Oh, but Shannon, you left this on the bone. I've had Magic Johnson. I've had Steve Harvey. I've had Michael Blackson. I've had Cedric the Entertainer. I've had DC Youngfly. I've had a lot of people. Nobody said anything about pushback and follow-up questions until I got Katt Williams on. And this thing took off like wildfire. And the people that's commenting is like, you got 200 followers. You can't be a journalist with 200 followers. Right. Because even people that don't know the journalists, they got at least 4,000 or 5,000. Right. You're upset that he said everything that he said and he said it on my platform. Right. And now it's bringing attention to my platform. Just like I've had Ricky Smiley on. I've had Steve Harvey. You didn't say anything. I didn't push back about Steve when he said things about in his marriage. You didn't say a word.
Nah.
When he spoke about his daughter, you didn't say a word.
Right.
I asked Cedric about did he steal Katt Williams' joke. You didn't say, Shannon, you didn't follow it up. I've asked Ricky Smiley, volunteered. He said, I didn't ask him. He said that he was originally supposed to play Money Mike and Katt was supposed to play Santa Claus.
Right.
He said that. You never said a word about follow-up questions, and I left so much on the bone. It wasn't until this video, which is almost at about 11 million views in less than 48 hours. Yes.
Woo.
Now, mind you, Ocho, Steve Harvey's done 9 million views.
Yeah.
Who else? DC Young Fly is at 4 million. Ricky Smiley over 3 million. Magic Johnson over 2 million. I mean, a lot of these videos have gone viral and had viral moments. Nothing is caught fire like this.
Right.
This is what's upsetting them because first of all, he wasn't going to go on it because they don't know. He doesn't want to be. He wants to have a conversation. He says, you've allowed everybody else to come up here and say their piece.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me, Ocho, as the interviewer, was the way he started. My thing was, do I interrupt him and get this thing back on track, or do I let him go?
See, when you're interviewing somebody like that, and with the safe place that you do call it, the fact that it's Katt Williams or Cedric the Entertainer, or any of these polarizing, iconic figures, you have to let them get their piece and say what they need to say. That's the whole point of you having a platform, and him willing to come on your platform to be able to do an interview and tell his truth. Is you got to let him go. You can't steer it. You can't steer this one.
And so he did 30 minutes before I asked anything. Where you from? How this? Your dad, your mom, brothers and sisters. But he wanted to get that off his chest. And people say no. He says the truth doesn't need motivation.
Oh no.
That's what he said. He said the truth doesn't need motivation. He said there's God's way and there's that. And if it's not God, it's the wrong way. So while all you guys said, well, Shannon, you needed a follow-up question with what? I said I didn't ask no follow-up question when said he didn't steal the joke.
Right.
That's not for me to decide. You decide. You decide who do you agree with. That's not my decision to make.
Right.
I told you when I first started this, my very first interview was my brother. I said, my job, I'm going to try to bring you some of the biggest celebs, entertainers, and athletes that I can possibly bring. And I'm going to allow them to have a conversation and maybe tell you something or share something with you, Ocho, that they've never said, or they've said it such a long time ago you don't remember it. But I want that entertainer, that celeb, or that athlete to share some things with you and give you a different glimpse of who they are, he or she. That was it. I never said I was a journalist. I never professed to be a journalist. I'm an entertainer. I have entertainers. And again, if you want hard-hitting questions, 60 Minutes is the platform from you. Dateline, 48 Hours. Go to Lester Holt. Go to somebody that does that.
This you got to understand. Those aren't safe places. Those aren't places where you can get what you want to say off. They dictate everything.
Yes. So
when you go that route.
Ocho, you make a great point. So let me ask you this. You think Katt Williams was going to open up as much as he did on any other platform? Absolutely not. If you go back and look, what's the longest? I mean, when we look at it, what's the longest interview he had done, Katt? Now, mind you, I haven't seen anything he posted on his social media page since 2020. Since 2020, that's 4 years ago. No post.
Yeah. Nobody else. I mean, the whole point is it's almost like barbershop talk. Being able to sit down with you. Listen, I sat down with you and we talked. You had to kick me. You had to kick me out. You had to kick me out when I did Club Shay Shay because I was in such a
you like place. We done?
I was ready to go now. You know, I can talk.
Ocho, I had you on. Ain't nobody say, well, why didn't you ask him about that situation that happened in Miami? Why didn't you ask him about this? Ain't nobody said anything. You've almost said 6 million with Coach Prime. Well, you've been married this many times. Nobody said a word. It wasn't until I got Katt Williams. It wasn't until this thing took off like wildfire. It is all across the internet.
And it is more so about not only the traction, but it's what he said and the controversy that is stirred up. So now everybody has questions, their truths, their facts.
We've been able. Go ahead.
That shit was awesome. That shit was awesome. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Obviously, me knowing I know Cedric, I know Steve, I knew Bernie Mac back, when Mac was alive. Goddamn, I got some stories about Katt. I'm gonna tell you that a lot of people in the chat watching a lot of stuff that you probably didn't even know yourself. But we'll get to that later on when we get into it.
And look, I'm not saying we the best of friends, but I talked to Steve Harvey.
Right.
I got Steve Harvey number in my phone. Right. I got Cedric number in my phone. I got Kevin Hart's number in my phone.
Yeah.
Earthquake and we talk the most. I can sit, look, and I'm friendly, cordial. I've been to Kevin Hart's house, been through his house, met his wife, just saw him the other night at another function. Showed me his cars, had conversation with him.
Yeah.
We're friendly.
Yeah.
Earthquake and I met Earthquake about 6-7 years ago. We've been cool ever since. He called, sometimes Earthquake will just text me, brother, I just called to say I love you. Keep doing your thing. Shine, shine, king. Shine, big, shine, black man. Stuff like that. Hey, I'm at this comedy. Hey, swing through if you get a chance to.
Right.
So he and I have a different type of relationship than the other guys. Right. But do I talk to Steve Harvey? Absolutely. Yeah. Has he invited me to his farm in Atlanta? Yes. He invited me to I think it's Dubai. He has a golf tournament Thanksgiving. Hey, I want you to come. So I have a great relationship. So it's hard on me.
Yeah. Listen, I understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. But obviously, when truth is being told, you just the moderator in between giving the individual the space to tell their truth. That's it. Yes. There's no hard feelings towards those that you already know, whether you know them personally or you just know them as associates. And I really enjoyed it in the fact that you give us a space to be able to tell our truth on your platform. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And there was no space for us to be able to do that.
Right.
And the fact that now we do have one, and this is going to be a trickle effect. We not only did you have Katt Williams, but it's going to be somebody else after that. It's going to be somebody else after that. And it's going to continue to have that effect where, you know what? I have things I need to get off my chest. What better place to do it than on Club Shay Shay's platform, who's not going to judge you.
No.
He's gonna ask the questions he needs to ask and allow you to say what you need to say. And that's it. It's simple.
And the thing was that, and Katt asked me, he's like, well, why didn't you ask Ricky this? I said, Katt, normally when people are giving you information that you've never heard or no one else has ever spoken, you feel that he was in that situation. He's giving you pertinent information. I have no reason to believe Ricky Smiley is lying to me.
Right.
Just like when you say something, when you telling me this, and this. Now, I knew that he was homeless because I talked to Terry Crews. I've known Terry Crews. Terry Crews was on the team with my brother in back in 91. Right. So I know T. Crews. Right. And he was on the movie. He was a fill-in Training Day. His actual role was, if I'm not mistaken, was next Friday. So I have a relationship with T. Crews. And so for me, that was the hardest part, is to hear things. But I said, you know what? I didn't expect, I knew it was a good end. I knew. Oh yeah. I kind of knew, but I didn't know.
Now there's Katt Williams. Now there's certain people that you can get that's going to move the needle now. There are certain people you can get that can move the needle and move it big.
Ocho, this thing is doing about 500,000 views an hour. I knew it. I thought it would. CJ told me it's going to be bigger than Steve Harvey. At the time, Steve Harvey was about 8.8 million.
Whoa. Where was I at?
You behind time. You and time are tied at 5.8 million.
Okay, I'm coming back. I'm coming back on Club Shay Shay. I got some controversy to talk about. Yeah, I'm finna outdo Katt. Fuck this.
unless you show up butt naked, I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can beat Katt, because Katt's almost at 11 million and we're not even 48 hours in. And so I remember rapping the interview. Now, mind you, Ocho, I still got 20 to 30 minutes worth of questions left.
Right.
The interview is 2 hours, 46 minutes, and 5 seconds. And we didn't cut anything.
Right.
And And I remember finishing up, and I look back. CJ is always sitting behind me, and I remember looking at CJ, and he's shaking his head, and I'm like, what? He's like, Shannon, this gonna break the internet. I said, you think so? He's like, Shannon. He's like, Shannon.
Yeah.
So Jordan's shaking his head. He's looking at me like, everybody, the makeup, everybody's looking like,
right.
I was like, man, okay, this says is that good? Okay, I'm gonna take it. Because when you in it, Ocho, you in it. You don't, I mean, and so, bro, and so we drive, says, okay, when we go, I say, CJ, we're gonna drop it in the new year. That's why I start. So I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna tease it. I'm gonna say I'm dropping one on Club Shay Shay.
Right.
I promise you, it's gonna, for someone to be better than this and to be bigger than this. President Obama is gonna have to come on your podcast and says I'm running for a third term. That's the only thing that's going to possibly be bigger. And he's gonna come on mine and say that. So that's that.
Right. Yeah.
When we dropped it, we got 121,000 people watching it live in the chat, Ocho. So I'm like, okay, this thing might do 1 million, I say it's going to be, I remember calling CJ, I said it's going to probably do 2.5.
Right.
Ocho, I wake up this morning, we're at 5.2.
Come on now.
I was like, what the hell? So I'll say, now I got to refigure. I say, okay, it's going to lose some steam.
No.
Ocho, we probably
got to make it around the block first.
Now I'm thinking this thing might do about next Wednesday. This thing might do 20 million views.
Yeah, most definitely.
It might do 20 million views.